Girls, please stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We do roll call, Kathleen?
Graham Murray. Here. McCampbell.
Here.
Brinker.
Here.
Wilson. Here. Phillips.
Here. All right. We're going to open the meeting with something special tonight. And before Annie reads that, yes. Okay. Before Annie reads that, we're just delighted to have the family down here, and we just want to let you know how important you guys are to us and to Burlington. And we just feel so blessed to see you all tonight. Thank you for coming down. Annie, would you please?
Yeah, sure. All right, I have a proclamation here. Whereas in 2000, the Burlington Police Department instituted an award for Officer of the Year, whereby officers had the opportunity to nominate a fellow officer for his or her contribution to the department and the community as a whole. And whereas the award was renamed the Lieutenant Steve Cassidy Officer of the Year Award, in memorial to Lieutenant Cassidy, who exemplified the characteristics of an officer going above and beyond expectations on a daily basis. And whereas the 2018 Officer of the Year started his career with the Burlington Police Department as a reserve officer in 1995. He held this position from 1995 until he was hired as a full-time officer with the Burlington Police Department on August 27, 1997. During his tenure with the Burlington Police Department, he has played a very vital part in the department and has held many positions within, to include detective in the Criminal Investigation Division, bicycle patrol officer, field training officer, boat patrol officer, officer award program coordinator, shop with a cop liaison, safe alternative to trick-or-treat coordinator, and officer liaison to the Burlington Police Auxiliary. He received the Officer of the Year award in 2007. And he was promoted to the rank of sergeant on July 2nd, 2008. Besides keeping the community safe for the last 21 years, he has also made many contributions within the community to its youth. He and his wife play a vital role in the annual coordination of the safe alternative to trick-or-treating, assisting with the Shop with a Cop, spent years as an assistant coach for 2 area traveling baseball teams and the Burlington Little League. In 2016, the Officer of the Year was diagnosed with cancer. Even after his diagnosis, he insisted on coming into work to continue to show leadership, not only within his own squad, but also to the entire department. Knowing the severity of his diagnosis, he showed up to work every day with a smile on his face and a determination to serve the citizens of this community. Even after his health deteriorated to the point where he could no longer come to work, he stayed positive, resilient, and has displayed a warrior spirit throughout. Now, therefore, we, the City Council of the City of Burlington, Iowa, do hereby announce and proclaim the 19th award recipient of the 2018 Officer of the Year as Sergeant William Vinnie Benaroth, in recognition of his positive attitude in providing service to our community throughout 2018. Although Sergeant Benaroth passed away on December 27th, 2018, we are reminded to honor and show our sincere appreciation to Julie, Jacob, and Sam for Bill's dedication and the sacrifices he made, by deed, remark, and attitude. Signed and sealed this 4th day of February 2019, Shane A. McCampbell, Mayor.
just want to thank the Vinvertlos for coming down, and we just want you to know that if you ever need the city for anything, and I know people throw words around, but you know, I can't stay the mayor forever, but I'm not leaving Burlington. And you know, Shane McCampbell is there if the family ever needs me for anything. Again, we thank you so much for your dedicated service to the city, because nobody serves alone. We know that families serve as well. Again, thank you so much. Parents, thank you so much for coming down. And to my favorite postman, good to see you, my friend. And you guys don't have to stick around. You guys can get on out of here if you want to. Thanks again. Good-looking family there. Heck yeah. All right then. Those of you at home, we're just letting all the Vinvertlos clear out. Okay. Next on the agenda tonight is the consent agenda. That is not correct. Next on the agenda tonight is Mayor's Awards. We're going to do those first. And I have one of my Mayor's Awards recipients here tonight. Thank you, sir. We just recently had some really, really cold weather. And there's a gentleman that just really went above and beyond to try to make sure that we address the needs of those that were homeless in the community. And it's commendable and honorable. And the Bible says that we are our brother's keeper. And this gentleman takes that very serious. And we're just blessed to have you in Des Moines County. I'm so grateful that we have you in Burlington. So I'd like to give you this award today. Be it known, on behalf of the city of Burlington, Iowa, I would like to thank you for being a model Burlingtonian. Your caring heart, your thoughtfulness, and love toward your fellow man are your greatest assets and are quite admirable. People like you help make Burlington a great place to live, work, and play. On February 4th, 2019, this Mayor's Award is presented to Mr. Craig Fenton. Come on down. You got your hair all pretty for tonight and everything. All right. I appreciate you coming down, Craig. I don't want to pretty bad, you know that. Good things are taken care of. Can we do one more where I give a rabbit ears? I'm just kidding. She'd let you do that. Would you have a word, please, sir?
I don't believe Father Marty is going to come, so I accept the award for both Transitions and Divine Mercy Parish. I know he has one. He just didn't feel comfortable coming. So it's been my honor the last 3 years to serve the homeless and the people of Burlington. It really is a good city, and we need to keep it strong, and so that's why I spend my time down at Transitions day in and day out, helping those that just can't seem to get it together and help themselves. So thank you for this award. I appreciate it. Oh, and thank you for the $1,000. That will help too. Thank you.
Thank you, Craig. Oh, sweet. Okay. And if you guys want to get on out of here too, you guys can dip on out. Thank you for coming down. Next on the agenda tonight, we have the consent agenda. All matters listed under item 1 consent agenda having been discussed are considered to be routine by the city council will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussions of these items. If discussion is desired, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be discussed separately. On the consent, we have finances and miscellaneous, minutes and previous meetings, payroll and city claims, beer, liquor, wine, and cigarettes, reports, and bonds. We have 6 resolutions. The first is resolution approving Iowa Contaminated Site Environmental Covenant for property located at 1106 Washington Street, the former Dresser Rand site. The second is a resolution approving engagement letter with Piper Jaffray and Company to serve as an underwriter for issuance of general obligation corporate purpose bonds, Series 2019A capital improvement projects for FY 2019-2020. The third is a resolution approving an amendment to the agreement with Piper Jaffray and Company to serve as dissemination agent for secondary market disclosure. The fourth is a resolution approving a purchase of a used 2007 John Deere 770D motor grader for the Street and Sewer Division of Public Works Department. The fifth is a resolution approving amended agreement with the newly created Burlington Riverfront Entertainment, formerly American Music Festival, for management of the city's riverfront properties. And then we have number 6, a resolution approving submittal of proposal for funding through the Iowa Department of Agriculture and Land Stewardship. We also have some public dates, public hearings set for the 19th of March. We have 4 of those. First is consideration of plans and specifications for the 2019 Dankwart Park Pool Improvement Project. Again, that is February 19th. Second is consideration of a 2019 A amendment to Urban Renewal Plan for Burlington Consolidated Urban Renewal Area related to use of incremental property tax revenues for public improvements, March 4th. 3 is a consideration of a 2019 A general obligation loan agreement and a principal amount not to exceed $4,900,000, March 4th for that one. And then the 4th is a consideration of an application for a state revolving fund, SRF, loan for the combined sewer separation throughout the Locust Basin, March 18th on that one. We have 2 appointments, Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes, we have a couple committee appointments. For the Greater Burlington Sports Commission, has increased city council member seating and appoints Matt Rinker to a new 1-year term. The Civil Service Commission, reappointing John Kemp to a new 4-year term. Thank you for your service, by the way.
Right on. So, is there anybody that would like to have any of these items removed from the consent agenda? I see none. Council,
Nope.
None.
can I get a motion?
Your Honor, I have a motion to approve all the items listed under item 1 consent agenda.
Second.
Moved in second. Kathleen?
Graham Murray. Aye. McCampbell.
Aye.
Rinker.
Aye.
Wilson.
Aye.
Phillips.
Aye.
Okay, our first hearing tonight is consideration of an ordinance amending various sections of Chapter 128, Tree Service Business of the City of Burlington Municipal Code. First reading on this one.
Through our Forestry Division and Tree Advisory Board, upon their recommendation, we're looking to update a couple sections of code related to trees within the city. The first being under the section related to tree service businesses. A couple of the changes looking to make there in definitions, taking out topping trees. That's something referenced in another section of code that's not a allowed act for city trees, so taking that out. Looking to update the licenses required. We've recently are in the process of updating our application for a tree service business and trying to clean that up, having more pertinent information. So just adding email, taking out some of the requirements that aren't necessarily relevant. There in section 128.02, number 1 and number 4. And then under section 128.08, I guess adding the section that for safety standards to reference a national, American National Standard Institute, ANSI Z133.1, and that is just outlines the procedures and recommendations to make the occupation and activity of tree workers safe. So this just lays out what those are instead of having just the general statement that machinery shall be used with all reasonable safety precautions. This standard actually lays out what some of those precautions are, and we'll have that copy on file or can be accessed online. So not a strict requirement, but gives a better detail on what procedures should be used.
Cleaning it up. Nothing wrong with that. Anybody in the audience, questions or concerns? We're cleaning it up for you. Council?
Don't see anything. Your Honor, I have a motion to close.
Second.
Moved in second twice. Kathleen?
Graham Murray. Aye. McCampbell.
Aye.
Rinker.
Aye.
Wilson.
Aye.
Phillips.
Aye. Your Honor, I have a motion for preliminary adoption of the first reading of an ordinance amending various sections of Chapter 128, Tree Service Business of the City of Burlington Municipal Code.
Second.
Moved in second. Let's vote. Kathleen?
Graham Murray. Aye.
McCampbell.
Aye.
Rinker.
Aye.
Wilson.
Aye.
Phillips.
Aye.
Okay, let's clean up number 2 for you. This is a consideration of an ordinance amending various sections of Chapter 151, Trees of the Burlington Municipal Code. Mr. Tisdale.
This again, chapter 151, trees. So this one's just taking in section 151.10 tree standards, taking out that training shall not harm a tree, but referencing again the ANSI, the American National Standards Institute, A300 tree pruning standard. So having a little better set standard other than just does not harm the tree. So list some recommendations and some guidelines within that standard.
There you go. Trees are our friends. Comments from the audience? I see none. Council?
None. Move to close.
Second?
Moved in second. Kathleen?
Graham Murray.
Aye.
McCampbell.
Aye.
Rinker.
Aye.
Wilson.
Aye.
Phillips.
Aye.
Your Honor, I have a motion for preliminary adoption of the first reading of an ordinance amending various sections of Chapter 151, Trees of the Burlington Municipal Code.
Second?
Moved in second. Let's vote. Kathleen?
Graham Murray.
Aye.
McCampbell.
Aye.
Rinker.
Aye.
Wilson.
Aye.
Phillips.
Aye.
Rolling downhill tonight. You guys are fantastic. Which brings us to number 3, cleaning it up.
You just couldn't.
I couldn't help myself. Number 3 is a consideration of plans and specs for the 2019 Aspen and Dill reconstruction. Assistant City Manager Nick McGregor.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So the Aspen and Dill project is one that's funded by our GO bond issue. It's $1.4 million that we've got budgeted for next fiscal year. This project entails a full depth reconstruction of Dill from end to end, and then from the cul-de-sac to the south, and then all the way to connect Aspen to Sequoia. It also involves some storm sewer. There's no storm sewer on Aspen, and it's part of the reason why it's degraded to the way it is right now. So if you could hit the next slide for me. As I stated, that's kind of the project. The first phase will involve creating the new spur to connect with Aspen, and then it'll follow the way up north. And then there'll be a total of 5 phases to try and help reduce the distance that property owners are gonna have to park and then walk to their property. We also realize that Willow is a pretty high traveled route during the school year. And so depending on the construction timing, we'll push those forward first to get done prior to school being in session to avoid any sort of traffic hindrance. And then this is kind of just a schematic of what that layout will be for 2 phases of time. There'll be 1 lane of traffic alternating at that intersection as we go through half of it. So probably be a couple, 3 weeks for each side. So probably a month or so of that intersection having some effect. And then the overall budget estimate is $1.175 million. As the city engineer stated last week, he's using DOT spec numbers, and those traditionally are a little higher than what we see around here. But it's a good precaution to give us an idea of what that estimate will be. I think that contractors are going to be pretty hungry, and this is the best timing, in my opinion, to get a job out to bid. So you can see the schedule of when we get the bids back and then start construction. So if there's any questions, I'll answer those or attempt to.
Okay, let's see, are there any questions from the audience? Marlon Key.
I have a question is, you go back to the slide where they're showing what you're doing.
I need your name.
My name is Marlon Key, 1121 South 12th Street, Burlington, Iowa, 52601. As I've brought up before, you're putting sidewalk along Mason Road. And I've said, why not extend Sequoia on over to Cambridge and put the sidewalk in through there. I walked my dog the other day, 4.5 miles from my house out around this way. But if you line of sight down through there, and if you go on your Des Moines County GIS site, there's the Catholic churches own the property that you're extending Sequoia on. So extend that on, and then where Justin Myers built some houses off of Chamberlain, they put a cul-de-sac in there. You'd have to kind of offset around, but he has a section of land in there that looks like he was saving it for an easement. And if we could get an easement from the person that owns the land south of where Cahill is doing it, and I can't remember who the property owner is on that. If you get an easement from him, we could take the street on through, and then you would have alleviate a lot of the traffic off West Avenue. And I don't know if you guys have driven Mason Road lately. Every time I walk my dog, I have to go out in the street, and where they have it staked out where the sidewalk is going to be, now this is kind of bringing up a different project, but along with extended Sequoia Street, you'll notice where they plowed all the snow was where the sidewalk was going to be. Now, I don't know how you're going to let kids walk on the sidewalk and whose responsibility is going to be to clean that sidewalk. But then you're going to have all that snow plowed up on there. And also, they closed Mason Road because it floods. So all the kids are going to get splashed. I just think, take whatever money you got from that project, and I don't know where you came up with the money from that, but if it was from the state or whoever, but we had to kick money into it, we ought to extend Sequoia on over to Cambridge. That's just my point of view, and I've brought it up before. Everybody keeps saying, I kept saying the name of the street wrong, but it's just the farmer that uses that, farms that land, comes out across where you're gonna be putting your new sidewalk in. So I think this is just a better route, because he wouldn't be crossing it with his heavy trucks and equipment.
Well said.
Something to think about
Yeah, no
before
doubt.
you're letting everything out. Just extend the street, and I just was kind of eyeballing it here off of your city map, that if this was gonna be a 700-foot extension, I think I read in the paper, for Sequoia Street, it would only be a 2,800-foot extension from there to put it on in. I think it would relieve your traffic on Willow Street. It would take the traffic off of the confusion out there on Mason Road, and it'd give the kids a safe place to walk, and me for my dog.
Very thoughtful, very thoughtful. Thanks for coming down tonight, Marlon. Nick?
The rationale on Sequoia Drive is typically probably wouldn't make this extension for this type of project, but because of the lack of connectability on the rest of it for construction phasing, we wanted to do that so it could alleviate some of the headaches and also give access to emergency personnel. And that, the reason why we deadheaded it is so future construction could go eastward off of that.
One thing I do want to respond to him, and correct me if I'm wrong, Nick, but the funding for the trail, or it's actually called a multi-use path, correct? A lot of that came from the state, and that was through grants that were provided to encourage a multi-use path, correct?
It's TAP funding, isn't it,
Yep.
Eric?
Mhm.
Transit alternative.
And yes, it's correct, it's specific for the
For
use
that
that it is,
project.
and it's on that site, you wouldn't be able to change and
We can't take
alter
that money and move it over
No.
to another project or to another trail or sidewalk or something like that.
That project's already bid out and been awarded, and it
Right.
should start this spring.
So I understand the thought process there, and at some point in time, when that connection's made, there will be pedestrian walkways through there. But it'll be after the trail's already been put in along the Mason Road corridor.
Yes, sir.
But that was my, Marlon McKee, 1121 South 12th Street, Burlington, Iowa, 52601. That was my whole point about bringing up when you were doing the sidewalks, was that I was saying extend Sequoia. Now, you're saying that was state or federal money or whatever, we still had to put additional funds in there, correct?
Yeah, it's 20% local match.
20% local match that could have gone toward this. And
Would
that
it-
would have been a safer route. If you're gonna ride bikes, if you're gonna do whatever, I mean, I walk up West Avenue, then go in behind Fairway Store, so I come out by the school, and then now I'm having to walk in the street to get back home. But if the street would go through there, it'd be a lot safer for the kids to walk and everything else. Just next year.
I think the idea is sound, the problem though is probably the cost. and just eyeing the distance of what the full depth reconstruction is gonna be with Aspen and Dill, you'd almost be doubling the size of that project. And it would almost probably make it, wouldn't be able to complete the project this year if you were gonna do something like that.
Are we gonna be replacing all the streets in Burlington every 40 years?
Hopefully we get to a point we can do that.
You're doing it right there. That's when that was built, was in the 70s. I worked for the gas company during that time, so I know when those houses were built.
I think Nick would tell you it's based on need.
Anybody else from the audience? Yes, sir? On this issue?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
yes. Stuart Judd, 62, 64 Summer. One question about this traffic thing. As you all know, Willow Street is a real high-traffic area, especially during school. And he was stating something about one-way traffic, north, south, whatever. And I'm kind of confused on this. Is that going to help the traffic flow during construction with school and all the traffic going on, just doing a one-way? Is that really going to help?
One lane traffic at that intersection, and his goal is to have those two phases that impact that intersection occur prior to school.
So that will help the traffic flow?
It's to
Well,
be
that's the only
done,
way that
they're
the-
trying to have it done when school is not in session.
Oh, during the summer months?
Correct.
Okay, my misunderstanding.
But yeah, doing one side at a time.
Okay, thanks.
Anybody else from the audience on this issue?
Hi, I'm Dennis Grizzle, 2924 Dill Street. So I live on one of the blocks that'll be affected here. And first off, let me say I'm really pleased that we're doing the project because the street is crumbling. It's needs some attention. But I had some questions, and this is the first I'd heard that we were going to have the project start so soon. You say we'll start probably late April, early May, and end in mid-September. Is there any plan to put penalties in case there's late completion, or I'm concerned that we're gonna disrupt quite a few homes, and hoping that disruption can be, for each home, be somewhat minimalized by how we phase the project and also making sure it's completed on time. And I know there are some other projects that have happened in town that seem to have taken a lot of extra time than what you would thought they would take, and you see weeks where no action is happening. I'm thinking in front of Hy-Vee and Walgreens and some of that. So I was just hoping that we had some sort of a time frame so that the homeowners would know during these weeks, I'm not gonna be able to get to my house, but after that, I can get there, that sort of thing.
Mr. McGregor? Thanks, Dennis.
And I don't know if you've received it yet, but we sent out letters having an informational meeting on the 19th of February. Actually, it's the same time as the council meeting, to have an informational session on this project. And to answer your question, we have 80 working days on the project. So as soon as it starts, 80 working days happens as long as there's no rain. So rain delays, they don't get counted. And after the 80 working days, if they've used all 80 working days, liquidated damages are assessed against a contractor, anywhere from $500 to $1,000 a day, depending on the contract award price. The DOT sets parameters on what you charge for liquidated damages. So we also set up a text and email alert that you can sign up for specifically on this project to let you know kind of where they're working, where they're at on the project. You know, we realize that we're going to disrupt a lot of people's daily routines by this project, so we'll try and make it as painless as possible. But you know, obviously they're going to be in a phased area for at least 3 weeks by the time they demo and redo the sub base and the drainage and the storm lines, and then form it back up and pour it.
And weren't some of the delays on the agency project because we were waiting on Alliant?
The Hy-Vee project was greatly delayed because of utility work. There was 2 fiber lines that were going through. CenturyLink had a main channel line that had to get moved. They actually had to slip it over top of Alliance gas line. So utilities in that area definitely disrupted the Hy-Vee or the Agency Street project. I don't see that happening as much with this. There's a residential with a little less utility work. And there's still gas lines and fiber work, but a lot less than what we saw on Agency Street.
Okay, thanks, Nick.
Any other other concerns from the audience?
Dennis Grizzle again, and I had more questions, but,
Oh, I'm sorry.
so I wanted to continue. Is there a plan to change the grade of the streets for, related to drainage or anything else, or will it stay mostly like it is now? And then, while I'm up here, the second question I have is, the width of the street. I believe current width is wider than the current city standard for residential streets. I didn't know if we were gonna maintain the width that it is today, or if there was going to be a change.
You're staying at the 31-foot, so it is maintaining, and what, I would think that your grading has to stay pretty similar.
The grade should stay relatively the same. It might change a little bit as it has to hit that southern abutment, but there's gonna be storm sewer drainage, which I think is a large concern. What you're seeing right now is there's not, it just sheets off to the south into the ditch work, so we'll at least have some intakes along that area.
Which should help, yeah.
It'll stay 31.
Any other?
It'll stay the same overall, sorry.
You're adding storm sewer to Hill Street and Aspen.
There is some storm sewer at Aspen and Dill. No, Aspen or Dill and Willow. We'll be adding storm sewer to all up and down Aspen, and I assume it goes on Dill. I don't know the plans as well as I should, I guess. I know there's storm sewer being added.
My name's John Kinney. I'm at 2913 Dill Street. I had a question or a request maybe. The school parking is on the south side of the properties along Dill Street. Could the city work with the school system so that residents could utilize that parking during the summer when school is out of session?
It's a good question.
That's a good
It's a
question.
good idea.
Thanks, Mr. King. The right ears heard that, so, they'll be working on that, my friends. Anything else? Man, you guys came down to handle business. All right. I'd have you move into my neighborhood. Don't have to worry about nothing. Are we good? Okay. Thank you, gentlemen.
Anybody from the council? Everything?
Thank you,
I
Counselor.
saw you checking it off, I'm
Thank you,
just
Counselor.
asking.
How dare me to shut you guys down. Anything from the council?
No,
I answered all my questions last week.
Okay.
Thank you.
just slow your roll. Your Honor, I have a motion to close.
Second.
Moved and second. Kathleen?
Graham Murray,
Aye.
McCampbell,
Aye.
Rinker,
Aye.
Wilson,
Aye.
Phillips.
Aye. Your Honor, I have a motion for a resolution approving the plans and specifications for the 2019 Aspen and Dill reconstruction.
Second.
That's what you get for talking about.
Oh, that's right.
Moved and second. Kathleen, let's close it out.
Graham Murray,
Aye.
McCampbell,
Aye.
Rinker,
Aye.
Wilson,
Aye.
Phillips.
Aye.
Well done. And again, for your neighbors to Dennis and John, man, you guys have some good neighbors. Pat them on the back when you see them walking their dog. Okay, we've got one ordinance.
Your Honor, I have a motion for preliminary adoption of the second reading of an ordinance amending ordinance number 3323, amending section I can't say, part of the plan in section L, application requirements, thank you, Annie, of urban revitalization plan for the city of Burlington, Iowa.
Second.
Is there some English in there somewhere?
Oh, yeah, no, I, words.
Awesome. Mr. Tisland.
No changes from the previous reading. This updates the timing that a tax abatement application can be filed with the city of Burlington to mirror essentially what state code references. So would be allowed 2 years after the first assessment year to file that by February 1st with the city.
Okay, getting it cleaned up, lining it up. Questions or concerns from the audience? I see none. Council?
Applicability, I got it.
Applicability. So, you know, some say potato, some say potato. It's all semantics, really. Kathleen, let's vote.
Graham Murray,
Aye.
McCampbell,
Aye.
Rinker,
Aye.
Wilson,
Aye.
Phillips.
Aye.
Okay. Now is where we will entertain comments from the audience. I just want to remind everybody again, these aren't questions from the audience, so we can't have a back and forth. So if you would taper your comments as a comment, and then afterwards, if you have questions, we're all here. we're here to party, my friends, so, but this is comments from the audience. Is there anybody that has a comment? Yes, sir.
Marla McKee, 1121 South 12th Street, Burlington, Iowa, 52601. Going back to the project on Madison Avenue, I got your city map here. It shows the bike path. Madison Avenue is not on the bike path route. It shows that section would be,
What, Madison Avenue?
right,
Okay.
that's the one you're saying everybody can't park on because you want to make it so the bikes can ride on.
Trying to cause trouble at night.
Not on the street.
Just, what?
No. Can we talk about this since it's on the agenda or no?
No, we can't
Okay.
talk about
All right.
this. He can
Sorry.
comment and we can listen. He can talk to you afterwards.
Well, you've made it, I think it's already been passed, where Madison Avenue, they can't park on the streets. And I know that people have come down, but it's just, I brought up before about the bike path, and this is, the official bike path is not Madison Avenue anywhere. So I just wondered why that, if that project was still on the go, where it stood, and we should redo Central Avenue, because it's in bad shape. What? 8, 9, 10, 100 block. Central is really bad.
Yeah.
You have Central Avenue on the 5-year plan. Do you know what year that was, Nick?
So the grant funds that we applied for Madison Street, STBG, it's actually 4 years after the application phase and awarded, so that's actually until 2023. Central Street is in 2022, that will redo that street. And as a clarifier, the bike lane isn't going in because we wanted to put a bike lane, it's because the width of the road, and the monies that we're receiving dictated that we weren't allowed to have parking on the side anyway. So the bike lane is simply a filler for space that we voided by removing the parking. So, just as a clarification.
We're talking about Madison, right?
Correct, Madison. Now, Central is our funds going to
Yeah.
do that project.
Right on.
Thank you.
Any other comments from the audience? Yes, sir.
Stuart Judd, 6264 Summer. On your plan, you was talking about, just, is there any way you can guys put a temporary gravel road in for these people to access in and out? Just, that's question one. Central Street, he said 2022 before anything gets done on that. Now, you guys did a great job on blacktopping that from there, north and south for a while. Is that in 2022 gonna be finished with blacktop? From the finishing, or from where you left off to the finishing point? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Judd. Any other comments from the audience? You guys have been an awesome audience tonight. Appreciate it. Closing remarks, Mr. Tisdale.
Oh, nothing.
Kathleen? Kathleen is wearing a new neck piece. Show the audience, Kathleen. I feel sorry for her husband's wallet. I say that out loud. Anyways, okay. Counselor, peanut butter.
Yeah, I have 3 things I'm really excited about. The first one is at the South Hill Appreciation Dinner.
Thank
The
you,
city
yes.
was awarded the Gary Thomas Spirit of South Hill Award. And this was really, really exciting. It was a really fun event, a very well-attended event. So thank you to Vince and Carol and everybody involved in putting that together. And I tell you, if you want to get together with your neighbors and be more neighborly, really talk to these folks about what they've done with South Hill and their neighborhood, because they really are the role model for what is happening and going on, and makes you more neighborly. And once you all eat dinner together, wonderful rendezvous chicken dinner together, it's a little bit hard to be aggravated at your neighbor for something really petty. So it really, really has good measure and is the right way to go. And the second thing I'm really excited about is there was a new sidewalk on Main Street when I ran today. I was really excited about that. So that makes me very tickled. And then the third thing I'm really excited about is coming up on Saturday is the Chocoholic Frolic. It's new extended hours from 1 to 5. Get your chocolate fix, check out some shopping downtown. Really have a good time. grab a cocktail if you want, grab a cup of coffee. It is a fun time. I did it last year. So Chocoholic Frolic this Saturday, 1 to 5.
All right. Thank you, Counselor.
You want?
Counselor Billups?
Nothing.
Nothing?
Nothing.
Okay. Mayor Pro Tem Wilson?
Yeah, so, February 10th at the Capitol Theater is the Southeast Iowa Symphony Orchestra's concert. It's at 2, and that should be a really exciting thing. And it'll get you a chance to get into the Capitol Theater and kind of see what the venue's all about and see what they have to offer, as well as listening to some great music. And I don't know if anyone can speak to the softball thing going on at the Bubble?
Does it start Friday?
Oh, yeah.
Tournament play, I think.
First tournament.
Yeah.
Bubble.
The first tournament at
Yeah,
the
go
Bubble.
ahead, I don't wanna
No,
start
I don't
on
know
it.
anything about it. Does any, burst the bubble, softball. That's all I know
It's
about
awesome.
it
It's
at the
awesome.
turf. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so
Counselor?
I saw the turf yesterday. If you haven't seen that facility, it is amazing. It's very well built and put together, and you wouldn't believe how big that thing is inside of there. So I'm very optimistic, and I look forward to what that can bring to our community, not only from a quality of life standpoint, but from a revenue standpoint. And I think we'll have the opportunity to see those facilities used in the winter quite frequently. I do want to just say that if you didn't have an opportunity to watch the NFL's 100-year anniversary advertisement last night at the Super Bowl,
That was good.
Mike Singletary's eyes when he yelled fumble was probably one of the most hilarious things that I've seen in the last year. So I would encourage you to look that up. It was extremely funny. That's it.
James? The other James?
James Jr. I just wanted to let you know, if you see some potholes in town, call and let us know. We had 3 crews out today, potholing with what we have. This last couple weeks in the winter we've had has been pretty rough on things. You know, the quick snap of freeze below 0 and then up to 50 was really hard on things, combined with all the, the corrosiveness that we put on the ground with salt. So, please have some patience, I guess, as we're trying to get to the patches. And if you see one that hasn't been addressed, simply call into the streets department and let us know. We'll try and take care of it. Also, the Hawkeye Storm sewer down there by the auditorium, it's still a hole as of right now. We are working with our contractor to try and get things into place as the river level dropped. Unfortunately, so did the temperature, and it was froze up and weren't able to operate. We're supposed to crest at 13.1. We're going to keep an eye on things over the next week, but next week looks like it might be a little bit better to try and get things done. But I'm fearful if we don't get it done here in the next month or two, we're going to get into spring and have some more issues with having to ring around it. Should we come into a flood season where we're going to have a pretty good snowpack from up north. So we're working on things behind the scenes, and it's really difficult to get a contractor in there when the tunnel's full of water, and that's where you need to pour concrete. So we're working on it, but it'll take a little bit.
Hey, Nick, how successful is that patching at this time of year?
Yeah, right now we use cold patch, and then our total patcher, which is it puts down tack oil, and then it kind of does an emulsion between rock and the oil, and then the top coat of rock. Patches this time of year don't work very well. For one, it's the temperature even today is 50 degrees, and usually there's water in there. And then for cold patch, we don't put any tack down. That doesn't help it bind. And then we don't roll it. We hand tamp it, but it doesn't get compacted to the nature that it should. And the reason why we use these materials is because hot asphalt isn't available right now. It doesn't become available until May 1st if we're lucky. So you will see those patches probably if we get any more snow, knock on wood, we don't. They'll reoccur because just what we're putting in there it'll freeze thaw and it'll pop right back out. So we'll have to do it again this spring, and hopefully we can make some more permanent patches where we have some Central and Division's intersection is pretty bad. So we'll have to try and make some permanent patches in there. So.
Tama building, they are making progress. It is hard to imagine that as you look there and you
One
can't see.
brick at a time.
And it is one brick at a time, literally. Along that western wall, they are removing it, but that is the most critical part of the facility, the most structurally unsound. Talking with GNB, the Tama building portion, the eastern portion, is essentially the stability to hold up the other part. And they're really concerned about, as they go through this process, trying to keep from having that structure come down on the building adjacent to it. There's also a above-ground fiber line through that alley that they're trying to protect. So progress is going to be very slow through the week, but the way that they are doing it is what they have to do in order to get through this work. It's just very delicate and time-consuming. As they get through that and get that portion down, the western, is that the Chittenden
Eastham.
building? East, C&E.
Yeah.
I hate not keeping track of names of the ones. The other part, the Tama building structure, will be fairly simple from their perspective to bring down. So this is going to be very time intensive to get through this week, but they are moving forward with that work. And I guess I'm on the radio this week, so council to know that you're up for next week.
It's good to know you got a haircut for your radio performance.
It's true. Always an important thing.
Just want to give a congratulations to the Cowboys for winning the Super Bowl this year.
Face for radio.
Also want to give a shout out to Father Marty Getz. We certainly appreciate you and for your kind heart, opening up St. John's. And he didn't want to come down. We recognize sometimes you got to beg people to come down and get some of these things, but I still, we just thank you so much. We're blessed to have you in the community and to have such a caring heart. Also, just give a shout out to Passport to Purpose. The girls, they're going to be taking the girls to the Philippines this year. If you get a chance to participate in any of their events, they really do a great job working with some underprivileged kids, et cetera, and trying to make a difference in the community. And I'll tell you what, you can talk about what city council is or isn't doing, but really it is you, the citizens of Burlington, that make the biggest difference. Also, the Great River Christian School basketball team, go Eagles. They're on they are this close to winning the Hustle Cup this year. We're pretty excited about that. They're out hustling all opponents, so I just wanted to make that announcement. And also, I did make it out to the bubble to see the turf. A lot of kids out there playing, having a good time. I was trying to play with kids while I was out there, but nobody wanted to play with me. One little kid, I said, hey, there's playing with a soccer ball. I said, kick it to me. And she turned around and took off the other way. So I was pretty excited that they got the memo, not to play with the mayor. Nobody likes to play with me. But everybody was having such a good time. It was pretty awesome to check out. So if you get a chance to, whether you were excited about it or not, maybe it will turn into something as of the roundabout to you. A lot of people weren't excited about that, but then you found out, hey, it's not so bad. So get out there and check it out. Support the kids. Support Burlington. You know, it's not so bad. So, all right. Nothing else? And again, Kathleen is wearing the neck piece. Can we get a close-up on that, Stephanie? All right. Can I get a motion?
Motion to close?
Second.
Moved in second twice. Let's get out of here before I talk again.
Graham Murray,
Aye.
McCampbell,
Aye.
Rinkert,
Aye.
Wilson,
Aye.
Phillips.
Aye.
Thank you. Good night, everybody.
The Cowboys